Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to another Books Weekly, my weekly video in which I discuss the books that I've either finished from a previous week or read last week or started last week. And let's begin with two books that I've started 2 weeks ago because I didn't film a Books Weekly last week because of reasons. And the first one of those is Margot Shetterley, Hidden Figures. That's a non-fiction book published last year in September, I believe, September 2016. And it is about the Black American women who joined NASA and as mathematicians and helped win the space race, as the subtitle says. The book was also made into a movie. I haven't seen the movie, I have to say. And I enjoyed the book. But I think what I want to say about the book is that I read some comments, people who compared the movie and the book. And what I understood from the movie and the trailer I've watched is that the movie much more focuses on the lives of particular, I think, 3 Black women. The book is much more a non-fiction book about the whole development of NASA in the 1950s during the beginning of the civil rights movement in the United States. It tells the story also of 3 or 4 individual women, but you shouldn't expect a book recounting their lives. The book gives a lot of facts, also about NASA, about the historical context in the United States. And I think if you go into that book with the wrong expectations, you might be disappointed. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, which for me means it was a good book, but I wasn't blown away by it. And that is mainly because I think one of the, if you want to call it faults of the book, is that it actually gives too much detailed information, and sometimes you really feel lost in that sea of detail. But still, it was an interesting read about something I've never heard of, I didn't know about, so I did enjoy it. But go into the book if you want to read it not with the expectation that it's a sort of biographical book about 3 women. And the second book I finished is also a book I've started in a previous week, and also non-fiction, and that's Kate Bolick, Spinster. The book was published in 2015. Kate Bolick is now in her mid-40s, I believe. She lives in Brooklyn. She worked as a journalist for The Atlantic, but also for Elle, and she published Spinster is her first book. Spinster is a combination of a memoir, Kate Bolick exploring her own life, how to make an own life, whether it's a single life as a woman or whether to make an own life in a marriage. So that's one part of the book, Kate Bolick exploring her own struggles. And she does that by telling the tale of women, female writers or critics, writers like Edith Wharton or social critics and writers like Charlotte Perkins Gilman, Maeve Brennan, the Irish-American writer. She takes the lives of those women, writers who meant something to her, to Kate Bolick in her life, explores their life, tells us the tale of their life, always with the focus on how to make your own life, how to be your own woman. I thought the book was really well written. I immensely enjoyed the memoir parts, and also the parts about the other female writers or critics. And it really made me think about how do you make your own life as a woman. So I think even though Kate Bolick is closer to my age than maybe to younger readers, it's a really good book if you are interested in feminism, in the position of women in the world and also in writing, and if you have a sweet tooth for biographical information about other writers, then this is certainly a book for you. And like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. Then on to the two books that I've read last week. The first one was Toni Morrison, Sula. Now, Toni Morrison probably doesn't need an introduction. She's one of the most well-known American writers, Black American writers. She won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993. And Shula is one of her earlier books, a small novel, only 175 pages, published first in 1973. And it's about Sula and her best friend. We see those two girls and women choosing different paths in life. Sula decided in the 1920s, the book is set, I should say, to go explore life in the big city, study an independent life, and her best friend stays at home in a little town, marries, and stays put, so to say. So the novel, even though it's only very short, it covers a wide range of topics in those two women's lives. And there's obviously also a plot twist, which I will not talk to you about in order not to spoil you if you haven't read it. And it's a classic read. I read it for Max's book club on Goodreads, the Uncovered book club. It was his choice for this month because it's also Black History Month, and if you're interested in those topics, in the history of Black women in this novel particularly, then Sula is certainly a good choice. Then on to the second book that I've started and finished, so read last week, another non-fiction book, and that's Daphne Merkin, This Close to Happy. The book is just out, 7th of February, I think it was published. It's a memoir, so non-fiction memoir, and Daphne Merkin she was born in the 1950s. She worked as a literary critic. She published in the New Yorker and the New York Times Review of Books. She wrote also a novel, an autobiographical novel, Enchantment, and the memoir she now published deals with a difficult subject, and that's her lifelong struggle with clinical depression. Daphne Merkin had been diagnosed with depression from an early age, so as a child when she was only 10 or 12. She was hospitalized for the first time, and the depression is something that didn't go away. It's accompanying her in her life. So it's a very raw book about the constant thoughts of suicide that she has, exploring the very difficult relationship with her parents, especially her mother. Daphne Merkin is from a very wealthy Jewish American family, but the relationship with her mother is very difficult. There's no physical abuse, but as Merkin put it, there is a complete lack of love or empathy. So a big part of the book explores the relationship of the mother-daughter problems and the depression, but it also really recounts how it is to live with clinical depression. So it's probably not a book for everybody. I thought the book was really good. The writing was exceptionally good, and the way Merkin really could pinpoint her own condition, being able to step out of her condition and look at it and analyze it and write about it, I thought was brilliant. But as I said, it's not an easy book. It's a heavy subject, and so it might not be a book for everybody, but if you're interested in the subject of clinical depression, then I would highly recommend that you read Daphne Merkin's memoir. And the last book is the book that I've started this week, and that is Elif Shafak, Three Daughters of Eve. The book was just published in Great Britain, but came out, I think, last year, end of 2015 or beginning of 2016 in the United States. Elif Shafak is a Turkish author. She was born in 1971 in Strasbourg, and she is one of the most well-known contemporary Turkish writers. She writes in English and Turkish, non-fiction and fiction, and she's translated, all her books have been translated into, I don't know, multiple languages. She has written novels, non-fiction, and I've always wanted to explore her. I've heard about her, but I have never read her. And then I saw a video made by Eric from The Lonesome Reader. I will leave a link down below, in which he gushed about the book, and I thought, well, now is the time to pick it up. Three Daughters of Eve is about a contemporary setting, very wealthy Turkish housewife, Peri, on the way to a dinner party and exploring. Then something happens and she is forced to look at her past. I'm more than halfway through, so part of the book is during those events, before and during the dinner party, so in contemporary Turkey, in Istanbul. But the other part is looking back at Peri's life when she was a child and when she went to Oxford to study English literature, and her relationship with three women there, and especially a professor called Azur. And although I really, really want to like the book, so far I'm not overly thrilled. I don't know. I don't enjoy the constant going back and forth with the story. It's like I couldn't see what is coming a mile away. But I will hold your horses. Maybe it will change towards the end, and I will let you know in my next Books Weekly. So this was it for this Sunday's Books Weekly. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. As always, leave comments to the books or whatever down below. I love talking to you in the comments, you know that, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.